All right. Good morning, sports fans. How is everybody today? If you're a Clippers fan, probably not great. That was a wild end of the game last night. And I was just telling you because you got to bed a little bit before that. 33 minutes for the last 2 minutes of the game that's too long. And, I've just been listening to the sports shows this morning talk about it. And I don't know what the answer is, but that's just too long for the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big reason why, man, there are some games where I'll stay up and watch, all through and through if they're like a big game. This was not one of those games. I was watching baseball, watched a little bit of the game, but yeah, man, and you telling me that like makes me not regret my decision one bit.
No, I mean, it was a great end of the game, and I think the refereeing was suspect, but it was like suspect with bad calls all over the place. So it's like it evens out in a way, in my opinion. I don't know. So it was a clunky game, but super exciting. So,
Sure.
I mean, the Clippers got them right where they want them, though, down 0-2.
Yeah, we'll see if they can come back again from an 0-2 deficit. Much better opponent here. We shall see. I did see. Did you see Cousins push Booker at the end?
Yeah, I did. I saw that.
What happened there?
I
Is it
mean,
more than that? No.
I couldn't tell why, but I'm assuming like just emotions running high at the end of the game. You think you got the game won, and then they alley-oop it with, zero point 0.9 seconds left. Booker may have said something. Maybe there's some Kentucky nonsense there. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Cool.
All right. So you said this is an interesting slate early in the day, and I completely agree with you because by my count, one, two,
Yeah.
three, four, five, six. I mean, I can make a case for almost 8 pitchers, and on a 6-game slate, that's so many.
So I already did the pitcher section of the write up, and I have 6 pitchers that are options. And I think you can make a really good case for all of them, potentially even more. For me, though, like the top two, I think on paper are Woodruff Marquez.
Okay, so Woodruff, I got an interesting discussion because I made the cover today already, and I made it with Kevin Gosman on it because I wanted to talk about the top dogs here today. Now, Woodruff is getting, it looks like 2 to 3 times the love that Kevin Gosman is, correct?
I haven't even looked at that.
Okay, yeah, he's coming in. It seems to be like 2 or 3 times more popular. He's a little bit cheaper. We all know Arizona's not very good. They're now very, very likely going to have no Ketel Marte last night. He left a few minutes into the game last night with a hamstring injury. If he doesn't go on the IL, I just can't even imagine him playing today, as that's plagued him all season long. So they're missing their best player. However, you mentioned a couple starts ago that Brandon Woodruff was a guy that, the increased spin rate he's had over the last couple years is really, really high. He's now got back-to-back games with really, really low strikeout totals. He's given up 5 home runs over the last 3 games. Or it makes me a little bit leery of him. That is there where there's smoke, there's fire? Is there something there? Meanwhile, our boy Kevin Gosman, who's been nothing short of sensational this year, if it wasn't for Jacob deGrom, he would be the NL Cy Young probably. Lower ownership, so I'm kind of interested in that one a little bit.
You've been on Gaussman a lot. I figured you would be. He's obviously one of the guys I wrote up. You got Woodruff going into Arizona facing a Ketel Marte DH-less Arizona team.
It's a bad team, no doubt.
You got Gaussman going into the AL facing a DH against the Angels team that's been pretty good. Gaussman's another guy. Like, he's been really good this year, but we've never seen this from him before. So this is kind of a typical thing for me and you. You're much more willing to buy into someone like this, like when they've shown it, like just this year. It takes me longer. It's taken me longer with Gaussman. This price point, I'd rather go with Woodruff. I think Woodruff outscores him here, but I completely get Gaussman. I mean, my first line of the write-up is tough call between Woodruff and Gaussman as the top arm on the slate, but coming off a really rough start in Coors, I love the Brewers' eights and a bounce back spot. And facing a Diamondback lineup, presumably missing Ketel Marte, the spot couldn't be much better.
No, I mean, I'm harsher on Arizona than you are too, and that's another thing with us. Like we've been saying that since early on in the season. I think they're worse than you do. So, like again, it's kind of the two sides of the equation. It's fun to talk about. I have just been, and this actually goes back to last season when Gaussman was really good. Something about what they've given to him in San Francisco, whether it's knowledge, just to change in what he's doing, he's been sensational.
He really has. No arguments with you at all on that.
Which is funny now because San Francisco's your team, and you talk about them just as an organization and their coaching and how they just get the best out of their players. So it's just fun when we get to have these conversations, and we don't even bring up Dylan Cease going up against the Pirates below him. Any thoughts on him?
He's another guy I wrote up. I mean, Giolito was good yesterday, struck out a bunch of guys. I won't get to Cease here. His floor is too low, and there's other guys I like more, but I don't think it's the worst play in the world. I mean, he's opposite Gaussman here, and that's what I said. Like, he's going into an NL park with no DH, which is, Gaussman is an NL pitcher going into an AL park. It doesn't like make you get off him, but it doesn't make you like him anymore. And the opposite Cease. I don't like him enough because of that, but it makes me like him a little bit more than I would.
Agreed. He's also the least consistent of these guys up top. Like, he owns all the same upside that Woodruff and Gaussman do. He's just significantly more likely to show you a bad floor.
No doubt about it. I mean, I'm much more likely to get to either of the two guys below him, Ohtani or Fedde. Man, Fedde's been good. Like, I am not a Fedde guy, but
no, you're not.
He's been good. I know he's one of the guys you were gonna like bring up as in play. And why wouldn't
not really?
Really?
No, because for me, if I'm going cheap, bring me all the way down to Marquez, as you mentioned. Give me Caleb Smith.
Yeah, Caleb Smith. I don't know. I think I like Fedde more.
Okay. Whoa, this is the flip side of the conversation. You're more buying into him because you've never been a Fedde guy, and I'm kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop right here. He's been nothing short of awesome his last three starts, and I've streamed him in leagues and stuff like that, so he's on my good side. But are we willing to bet this is just who he is all of a sudden? I don't know. He's 8,300 now. He's not cheap anymore.
Yeah, I'm not using him, but he was one of the pitchers I listed.
Okay. Interesting. You've never been a Fedde guy, so
no.
I mean, he's been awesome his last few starts. I mean, he is just in the zone right now.
No doubt about that.
So 3 straight scoreless starts. And then let's actually just, we can talk about Marquez. Like, again, he wasn't great DFS-wise last time out because he just didn't get the strikeouts, but he pitched a great game in real life, which is, for me, that's encouraging because the strikeouts will be there more often than not. I'm not going to worry about the lack of strikeout stuff last time because he pitched a good game. I watched a bunch of it. He was getting weak grounders all game long.
I'm with you. I'm fine with him here. I mean, not fine with him. He looks like the best dollar-for-dollar pitcher on the slate.
Yeah, Seattle's bad. Haniger, their best player, he's in a slump right now to boot. And, they're missing Kyle Lewis. They're just not a very good baseball team.
No, they're not.
So I like Marquez right here. And even though he's been better at home this year, I still, the rational, logical thinker side of me just doesn't buy into that being like a thing, right? Because there's no way that you're just better at Coors Field. I'll just chalk it up to a quinky-dink.
Yeah, same. I'll say this, though. Like, I imagine Marquez is chalky here. So in tournaments, if you want to use Seattle stack and, like, spend up on 2 pitchers, I could see that.
Well, we went right over the guy who I see as projected as the highest owned pitcher. That's Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Kind of like I said the other day, he's not as good of a hitter as, like, Acuna or Vlad, but he's close. And he's not as good of a pitcher as, like, the Aces, DeGroms, but he's close enough. He's amazing. I mean, he's one of the best athletes I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't love Ohtani here. And this goes back to the fact that despite being banged up, San Francisco puts a real solid approach against opposing pitchers. They'll make you work. He's a guy his pitch count can elevate quickly. He doesn't go 120 pitches or anything deep like that. So at a higher price like this,
yeah,
I'm not overly, and I don't think he's a bad play. I just don't think it's like a slam dunk. I don't think he should be like as crazy popular as he's projecting to be.
I don't think it's a bad play at all. There's just other guys I like more, and I'm surprised that other people don't like other guys more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised other people don't like the Marquez top pitcher pairing that I do, and it sounds like you do too. Sounds like you like Gaussman, Marquez. I like Marquez Woodruff.
Well, there's also the part of me that knows he'll put on the Brewers Diamondbacks game at some point today and wants to be able to cheer for Brandon Woodruff for a DFS perspective too. So I like Gaussman, but I don't think it's like clear cut because the spot's better for Woodruff. And the biggest thing that I'm suspect on Woodruff, you mentioned like 4 starts ago, this guy has got one of the highest increase in spin rates the last couple of years. Is there something there? We don't know, but the last couple starts have not gone as well.
I will say this, interestingly enough, like his spin rate last time out against Colorado, and I was watching the Rockies broadcast, were saying that his spin rate was like the highest it's been all season in that first inning. So interesting that, like, who knows? Maybe it has a big effect on it. And, it's one of those things where, like, when you like a guy, you can almost put it to the side. But if you don't like him as much, you're thinking about it a lot. I like Woodruff today. Maybe I'm not taking into account that enough.
I mean, it's possible. And he wasn't bad after the first inning last time out. He gave up a grand slam to Crone in the first inning, and I think he gave up a second home run right after that, and then he was good after that. So I didn't see the first couple of hits if they were just like, bloopers and weak-eyed singles, but he laid a cookie down the middle of the plate to C.J. Crone. He took him oppo, and then another guy got him. But then for the 4 innings after that, he looked like the regular Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with him here. He's my top guy.
Well, Arizona sucks. And I know they finally got a win last night. Did you happen to come across the meme? It was Arizona should hang this, and it was a banner that says, "We finally won a game." And it had the date of from Monday when they beat the Brewers.
That's hilarious and pathetic, all wrapped into one.
So
I guess I will say this: like Ohtani's almost 2K cheaper, so I understand he is 2K cheaper than Gausman.
yeah, he is. I get it. It probably depends on what you want to do with offense. And we kind of brushed by Caleb Smith, but I think he's wildly in play. This is a guy that we liked a couple of years ago. Liked his light fastball, liked his strikeout stuff. He cut up Milwaukee, was just cutting through him. Other than one pitch where he gave up a home run. This was, 17 days ago? I watched much of that start. They didn't have a chance against him. He was awesome the other day against the Dodgers. Had a little bit of a rough go of it against the Angels, but his pitch count is up there right now. And Milwaukee is prone to strikeouts. So I don't think he's the top pitcher here, but he is in, quote unquote, in play to me.
Yeah, I mean, I have no argument. I wasn't looking at him as much, but man, honestly, I'd use him before Fetty for sure. And I like that he's facing Woodruff. So he's
pitcher's duel.
Yeah, especially because I do like a couple expensive offenses. So, in one lineup, if I have Marquez, Caleb Smith, I don't hate that.
All right. All that being said, if I'm making one lineup, it's one of the top pitchers in German Marquez. Marquez is just way too cheap, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. For me, it's Woodruff and Marquez.
Okay. Well, we'll put Woodruff in there, and we'll just kind of pretend that 4150 is our offensive guy. You want to go with Kevin Gausman. I put him on the cover for a reason. He's been the second best pitcher in baseball this year behind that Jacob deGrom guy who is just on another level to anybody in the sport when it comes to pitching.
Yeah, he's been awesome this year. No doubt about that.
All right. Offensively is, it's similar. The offenses that will get love is basically anybody picking on these bottom tier pitchers right here, right? And also the Washington Nationals. Looks like Soto and Schwarber are coming in with real high ownership against Velasquez, he's been all right this season. I'm definitely not scared to pick on him, but I don't think he's like a must-have to stack against.
Agreed.
Do you have a favorite offense today?
A couple offenses I like. I mean, a bunch are in play. Like all the offenses going against those bottom pitchers are in play, I think. No doubt about that. For me, my personal favorites are the Rockies and the Cardinals. And I fucking hate the Cardinals because, they're never good for me. But this Matt Manning's not good. We like day games in Detroit. The Cardinals are expensive, which I think takes away their ownership a little bit, like Arenado specifically. So those are the two offenses I'm looking at.
Yeah, I see a couple of the St. Louis guys getting a little bit of love, but it's mostly the cheaper ones, like a Tyler O'Neill and a Dylan Carlson. So if you spend up on a Tommy Edman or Nolan Arenado, just assume those guys really won't get any love. And if you're stacking the Cardinals,
they're their best.
You can play their chalkier, cheaper guys and then pair them with the expensive guys, and it'll still be kind of different.
Yeah, it's different enough for, they'll get some love, but he's 6K. People are not going out of their way to pay 6K for Arenado, not against a lefty.
So we talked about Matt Manning last time out. He had been really struggling at AAA this year. He put together a solid first start against LA. So I wouldn't say impressive, but better than I anticipated he was going to pitch.
Definitely. We talked about it. There must have seen something in him. And, he's been their top prospect for them to have the confidence to call him up. Not that he's going to be good. He still wasn't good. So I think the more outcome here is that St. Louis gets to him.
And honestly, the Angels lineup isn't good really right now. Rendon's been struggling. Trout's obviously not there. It's kind of been Ohtani, but even Walsh has been struggling recently.
Walsh has actually been good, I think.
Okay. He had gone through a slump.
He had.
It's right. Yeah, we looked him up last week, and then he'd been playing better.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as Detroit goes, we've talked about John Gant a bunch this year. He really just was not getting hit for a long time, but was just walking everybody. He's given up a lot more power recently. Again, is there a substance thing here? The timing is unusual. It doesn't mean that's what it is. He was a little better last time out, but still not good. Guy I'm looking at, who I anticipate won't be too high owned, is the red hot Jonathan Scope, who I'm assuming gets traded here over the next couple of weeks because he's playing like that all-star again, and he just continues to put up big numbers for a terrible Detroit team.
Yeah, he does. It does look like Detroit's getting some love here. Actually,
Yeah, they are.
St. Louis.
They
I don't know
got
if,
a bunch of
I don't know
cheaper
if
guys.
Scope is specifically, though.
Scope, I don't think will be over the top owned because of his price tag. I bet you Haas hitting in the 4 spot at catcher gets some love. Candyman over here is only 3,200 batting in the 3 hole. He should probably get a little bit of attention. But I think it's going to be a lot of their cheaper guys.
I agree with that.
Badu hitting leadoff will be chalk, right?
Yeah. I'll say this, like Gant, and I was looking into this a little bit. He had before, it's come crashing down. I think he had the lowest BABIP balls batting average balls in play in baseball. So, excuse me, no surprise that it's again come crashing down a little bit for him. I don't want to use Detroit as chalk though. Give me the St. Louis side of this game. I could see a game stack.
I gotcha. Detroit does play better in the day, as we kind of mentioned already. Just
Say,
going through the first.
And the guy like Badu fits with Arenado's price tag.
Badu's so cheap. And where he's batting in the order, he's going to be crazy chalk.
Yes.
And that's why Scope's my favorite play from that game. One, he's really good, or at least playing really well right now. And because he's more expensive, he won't be the high-priced bat that people are prioritizing.
Agreed.
All right, as far as his first game goes, we got Cease against Young. I don't care. If Cease doesn't have a great start, it happens. But I'll never like Pirates guys. They're just awful.
I'm not stacking Detroit here, but the White Sox are interesting.
Yeah, it looks like Abreu and Tim Anderson and Mancada are all coming in as real high ownership.
Yeah, I don't think I want to use them at real high ownership, but I do think it's a risky fade because one of these games they're going to pop off. They have lost 5 in a row, though. Again, I don't care that they've lost 5 in a row, but they haven't looked great doing so. They haven't looked good offensively at all. Yesterday, Grandal hit a pinch hit homer. Aside from that, not much else. Man, I could see the White Sox hitting 4 home runs off to Young, but I could also see him just being average. So probably won't.
Also, it's in Pittsburgh, right? Like Pittsburgh's a crappy place. Like the ball does not pop there. It's a big park, and you can hit 4 home runs there. And that's not like it's impossible. But if this game was in Chicago, I'd probably think about it a little bit differently.
I'm with you.
So, okay. Washington against Philly. Got Fetty taking on Velasquez. As I kind of mentioned, it sounds like Soto and Schwarber are getting a lot of attention. But Trey Turner, because he's righty and he's more expensive, will come in at a lot lower ownership than like Tim Anderson, for example, and Trevor Story.
Isn't he better against righties also throughout his career?
He used to be. I honestly haven't looked it up in a couple of years. When he started his career, I know he was hitting righties more effectively. I don't know if that was a small sample size. I have not looked at it in a long time.
Okay. I'm not going to stack Washington here, so I probably can't get up to Turner and Soto, but I love those guys. So if you like them, do your thing.
Yeah, and then I think Schwarber will be real popular today too because, big power guy, 18 bombs this year, playing well recently, a couple of monster games, and very affordable.
Yep, agreed. I think in cash games, you lock in him and Badu.
Yeah, I do think those guys are real good looks in the cash game format. I mean, Soto's coming in with high ownership too, but this is a completely different price point. He is starting to heat up, though. We mentioned this with Soto probably about 10 days ago, that it's not been a very good year for him, but he's going to go on a tear here, and all of a sudden he's going to be batting 300 with double-digit home runs, and the RBIs are going to start popping, and it looks like he might be starting to jump off. He's got 5 singles over his last 3 games. I can virtually guarantee an extra base hit for this guy today.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love that. He's definitely, makes me like Washington a little bit more.
All right, Milwaukee against Arizona, Caleb Smith against Brandon Woodruff. We're not really looking for Arizona bats. I made my case against Brandon Woodruff, but that's not where I'm trying to go. Yelich could be interesting because I don't think he gets a lot of love today. Hit a long, big home run last night, and he's got 2 home runs off Caleb Smith already. So just the fact he's at low ownership would be kind of nice.
Milwaukee was the 3rd team I was looking at. Caleb Smith is in play, but I think Milwaukee bats are in play against him. Very low owned compared to some other teams we've talked about. And
Arizona's bullpen is no good. Well, Arizona, insert this portion of their team, is not very good.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was looking at Yelich because I'm a little bit interested in a Milwaukee stack, and he's their top piece. All these guys, I think I could play though.
Gonna have a little bit of an interesting lineup today. Vogelbach's now on the IL. I don't know who's going to be playing first base. So you might get somebody cheaper in there somewhere. You're probably going to get Manny Pena in the middle of the lineup at 3,400.
Do you know if they called anyone up or?
I don't know yet. They might have to just call Bahira back up.
Yeah, I heard that they were trying to have him stay down there for a while though this time.
Yeah, that's what I figured was the plan, but they're not missing Travis Shaw, Daniel Vogelbach. They got even like the outfielders, like Tyrone Taylor's on the IL, Lorenzo Cain. Like I don't know if they have that many options left.
I was thinking about this yesterday and watching like Gleyber Torres, who's awful this year. Like, remember how good he was like last year, 2 years ago? Yep. Baseball's the only sport I feel like where, Torres looks lost at the plate. You compare him to a guy like Tatis, it's not even close. 2 years ago, Torres was like the guy. That happens in baseball all the time. Just interesting. I know it's a little bit of a side track, but I was just thinking.
For any of you guys who like grew up playing baseball, it's an interesting sport because a lot of it comes down to your hitting, right? And you might get 4 at-bats on a given day. And when you lose your confidence, it's just different. And you don't really get the opportunity to work it out. Like shoot or shoot, right? Like you could go 0 for 8 in the first quarter. And then by the third quarter, you're on fire already. So you can change things in game. Baseball, then you do hit it hard. You get into you hit into some bad luck. It's just an interesting game, the ebb and flow that goes with it. And there's so much confidence in your timing because it's such a quick decision.
What made me think about it was Keston Hiura. I mean, you think about it, this is a guy that raked all throughout minors, like all throughout his life.
Early on in the pro level, he's been raking.
Yeah, early on at the pro level. And he is in danger of probably being DFA'd if he has another, stretch like he had last time, where he comes up and all he does is strike out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's completely off, but it seems like that's where it's headed with him getting sent up and down to the minors so much.
I don't think Milwaukee can afford to DFA him.
Fair enough.
I think they're going to have to stick with him. You just don't have a lot of opportunities as a smaller market team, right, to get a guy who is like a middle of the order bat like that. So I think they got to ride it out. He seems like a guy who probably needs a sports psychologist. Like maybe him and Ben Simmons could split the fee and go see somebody together.
Yeah, for sure.
Side note, Tyrone Taylor actually just got activated today, so this is good because they need bodies. And he'll be 2,800 and could be easily batting third in the lineup.
Yeah, he'll definitely be in the lineup. I mean, maybe they'll have one of these guys, him play first.
I was just gonna say that you might get him, playing first or something like that. JBJ might not make the lineup today or whatever it might be.
The lineup's pretty ugly. I mean, with no Kane and stuff, but I like Urias.
Urias should have a nice spot in the order today.
Yeah, it's not that he led off last time when we talked about it against the lefty, so I wouldn't be shocked if we saw that here.
Gausman versus Ohtani. Look, I can make cases for like a Brandon Belt or something like that, but I'm probably just not on offense in this game, period.
Yeah, I agree with you, but these offenses are both going to be really low owned. So I think that, man, talk about Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, Jared Walsh on the other side. I think you can make cases for one-offs here on a smaller slate for sure.
Well, one-off, right? You're not trying to maybe stack, but go for a guy who doesn't get a lot of love. You just need one home run from him or something like that. I just can't picture stacking either of these teams.
Agreed. I mean, especially with Ohtani out of the Angels lineup, not interested in stacking here. I would stack San Fran more than the Angels. I don't think San Fran is crazy at all with what we talked about with Ohtani. The Angels bullpen sucks. Get him out of the game. Now they add a DH. It's not the most optimal play, but I mean, you talked about it. San Fran's good. I think I'm more likely given ownership to use some San Fran bats than Ohtani.
I get that. And Ohtani he's not 100+ pitch count.
So exactly. I'm thinking about that. You said that. You're not necessarily going oh, they're going to blow up off Ohtani. Although we have seen him have starts where he leaves in the first inning because he can't locate. If you get one of those starts, not even necessarily they're hitting home runs off Ohtani, he just can't locate, and they don't want to mess with it. Like you said, they're not they treat him with baby gloves as they should because he's so good. And if he can't locate today and you get to that bullpen early, then all of a sudden San Fran would be like one of the top stacks on the slate, right? And
Yeah, they're not owned either.
yeah, and it's not likely, but it's something to think about because it's baseball.
Look, if I was a big time multi-insurer
Exactly
of lineups, I would want the San Fran stack because they are going to be unowned today. And while they're not great, they are a very good team. I go check the NL standings and look where they are right now. They're above the Dodgers and the Padres. Who saw that coming?
Their lineup's good. It's not spectacular, but it's good.
They're a good team. And that's why I usually don't like throwing pitchers against them is they work counts, they play together well, they get up in the right spots. Like they're the opposite of the Brewers offense in the sense that like none of the names like jump out really on either side, but like they work counts and get hits in key situation. I think Milwaukee has like one of the lowest batting averages with runners in scoring position. They don't get hits in the right time, and San Francisco does.
Yeah, you're definitely talking me into like a little bit of San Fran. Not gonna lie.
All right, well, I'm not going there myself, so I'm not going to try to do that too hard. And in the last game, we got Sheffield against Marquez, and then a couple of guys from Colorado are going to get some attention today, specifically C.J. Cron, who, again, good hitter against lefties. Trevor Story, who had been playing really well up until last night, so let's not over-exaggerate it. And he's always been really good against left-handed pitching, so those guys will get some love.
Yeah.
Maybe like Garrett Hampson.
Yeah, I mean, I could see using the stack here. Again, they have a DH now. Sheffield's not good. The only two guys that'll get love are the guys you mentioned. So, like, Daza, Fuentes, ugly guys, but it allows you to spend up on pitcher if that's what you want to do.
And people,
I will say, the more we've talked about it, though, like just talking about this right now, I think I'm starting to like San Fran more than Colorado.
Okay.
Like
it's low owned, right? And you don't need to beat the world on a slate like this because it's only 6 games.
And it's not even because of ownership, because I think Colorado's pretty low owned, but it will be lower owned than Colorado, so that doesn't hurt. Also, they're better than Colorado. They're not in as good of a spot, obviously. Ohtani's much better. But, Colorado's in a good spot, and I like them, but not going to be surprised at all. On the road, they just are so bad. So, man, that gives me pause for stacking them. Even last night against a guy like Flexen, they were not good.
Flexen was flexing again last night. It's just talking about the upper price shortstops today. I think you can expect Tim Anderson. Like I was looking at Story and Anderson getting love, but when you look at that price tag on Tim Anderson at 4,300, he should be far and away the most popular shortstop today.
I agree. Actually, now that I'm seeing that, I don't think there's a question about that. I think that he's going to be anywhere from he could be, depending on how big or small your tournament or cash game is, like 60%.
Yeah, I think he'll be super, super chalk today. And then I think that also like the correlation with Jose Abreu being only 4,800. I think those two guys right there are super, super popular. And I have no problem like just fading those two. DeYoung's not great, but it's not like he gets lit up every start, and they're a lot better against lefties.
Yeah, one shortstop that's not having a good year, but again, I like the stack. Paul DeYoung, really cheap, had a decent game last night, walked and hit 2 singles. Again, I like the Cardinal stack, and he's not going to get any love. Even though they're facing Matt Manning, I don't think St. Louis gets a ton of love here.
No, also with Paul DeYoung, 2 walks last night you have to like, but he's always been better against righties.
Yeah, exactly. So I switched that around. And even though he's not having a good year, he's kind of got like a Suarez type line. He's still got power in there. He's got 7 bombs. If he homered twice today, I don't think anyone would be shocked. Hate that he's hitting low in the batting order, but I like the stack. So in the wraparound, I'm about it.
Yeah. And again, just then more we're thinking about Tim Anderson's going to be crazy chalk. So all these guys above him, I think you can make a real rational case for, just based on much lower ownership.
Story will be the other guy that gets a ton of love.
Yeah, because he's going against a lefty. What's that?
I could see Story having the day off here.
Maybe. I think with a lefty on the mound, it makes it less likely.
Agreed. Definitely makes it less likely, but also we've seen them like not care about stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, they're going for a pennant right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Like
no, they're not.
maybe it's just a planned off day for him. He's coming back, day game after a night game. Like that's all it is. I think it's less likely with a lefty on the hill, but I mean, I don't think it's implausible at all to see Story out.
In today's landscape of baseball, with all the wild cards, it's hard to be out of it this early. But the Rockies and the Diamondbacks are already officially out of it in the middle of June.
No doubt about that. I mean, yeah, 100%.
I mean, let's face it. They knew they were out of it first pitch of day one, but now it's like more like official.
Yeah, I mean, those teams have. I bet even if you look at like the playoff odds or whatever, they're like 0.0001 or whatever.
Let's check it out to see if it's even up there. I mean, talk about being in a bad spot, having to play with the Giants, Padres, and Dodgers in your.
Man, how fun are I know you haven't watched a ton of them, but Dodgers Padres games are just awesome.
Yeah, they are.
I feel like those two teams are the best two teams in baseball. I don't know if you agree.
The Dodgers and Padres, well, they're not even as good as the Giants. So how could we? No, they're really good. I still, even though the Giants are 3 games ahead of them right now, which is to me, it's still truly impressive.
Agreed.
The Giants are plus 95 this year.
It's one of those things though. Like for me, I'd still take the Giants or Padres in a playoff series over the Giants.
Dodgers or Padres?
Dodgers or Padres over the Giants.
Yeah. I agree. I completely agree with you. I think they're the better teams. You just look at the roster, and it's hard to even think there's. I mean, the Padres own the Dodgers this year too, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. And I'm wondering, like, who else? Like, those are in my opinion, the 2 best teams in baseball. Who else do you think is up there?
Because that's where I completely agree with you. They're the best 2 teams in baseball. I don't even like any other. Well, maybe the Astros.
I was going to say maybe the Astros. I'll say this: if I don't know what the deal with Verlander is, like if he ever comes back and he's good, that it's a big boost. I think the White Sox are right there, and the Red Sox. The Red Sox are good, and if they're like the Astros, if they get Chris Sale back and he's legit, I think you can make a case for them. The Rays fell quite a bit with Glass now, going down. But man, if Franco is like the real deal and is like a Juan Soto type, how good does that make their lineup? Much better.
Yeah. Well, and then you get back into the question of, like, I think the Red Sox, they're a very good regular season team, but I wouldn't fear playing them in the playoffs.
I agree.
They don't have that top tier frontline pitching. What I've talked about, like I've mentioned it with my Brewers all year, like this is the first year, and they have been bombarded with injuries since day one. I know a lot of teams are dealing with that, but I actually feel like they're built to be good in the postseason because they have 3 frontline starters and a good bullpen.
Yeah, so a couple like teams on that note. One, the Mets, I think could be good because of that.
Yeah, I mean, you had to face if DeGrom can go every 3rd game.
Yeah, exactly. And then, the other guys like Stroman, we talked about has had a good year.
Taijuan Walker,
good call. And then who is the other team in the AL? I do think the White Sox are good also.
Well, especially if Carlos Rodon is this guy all of a sudden, you have that frontline number 1. It changes who you are.
Well, they also have Lynn and Giolito, who are good. They're the best team in the AL, I think.
Yeah, that's good frontline pitching. I mean, I'm still not completely sold on Carlos Rodon, and I know you're not completely sold on Lucas Giolito, but it's a lot better than some of these other teams, the Minnesota Twins, the Kansas City Royals, and stuff like that.
They got 3 number 1s as far as I'm concerned. Not like elite number 1s. None of these guys are as good as DeGrom or probably even like Woodruff, but they're all number 1s on a rotation. They're all top 30 pitchers, if that's how you want to count a number 1.
I mean, I know we're coming up to the halfway point of the season, and we've seen him for a number of years, so we don't really think that's who it is. But Carlos Rodon, to me, is the AL Cy Young right now. So if that continues, and again, Giolito's pretty good. Lance Lynn's a horse. It's a pretty good starting 1, 2, 3.
I mean, Giolito's better than pretty good. I don't love him, but like he's a legit number 1 in a rotation, in my opinion.
Sure, and then I respect to the teams in the AL West, the Astros and the Oakland Athletics. I don't fear the Athletics either because it's another one like Sean Manaea is a good pitcher, but if he's your number 1 guy going into a playoff series, you're not scared.
Exactly. And I guess that's the problem with Houston right now too.
Yeah.
They don't have a number 1 anymore. They've lost Cole. Verlander's been hurt. Greinke is not that guy. So interesting to see if one of these teams makes a move. Like,
agreed.
Like I've heard, Tampa should, unload a bunch of prospects for Max Scherzer. If that happens, all of a sudden, like, they're probably the best team in the AL.
Well, I don't know what Houston has, but all of a sudden Max Scherzer's at the top of that lineup and Justin Verlander comes back. I think they're the best team in baseball now.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, a lot can change. Love baseball. Yeah, exciting. So probably should get to finish writing.
I was just going to say that. All right, guys, good luck today.
Thanks, guys.